ending this! This is the end.
Alright everyone, JB here. We're back with another Dragon Ball video on the channel today. Now today, a little bit of a lengthy video for you guys. I want to take some time to pretty much just discuss about the future of this game. What could some small changes and updates that we could possibly see. And also I want to kind of talk about this newsletter that we recently got yesterday. So by the time this video is uploaded and me recording it, it's going to be the following day. But we're going to kind of skim through this as well and kind of review what is the main objective and what they're trying to accomplish here. Well, with that being said though, if you enjoyed today's video and you find yourself new around here, consider leaving a like on the video and joining the channel. It's very much appreciated. And just drop a like down below if you enjoyed the video though. So first things first, I want everyone to know we're going to go over this newsletter first because it looks like it's a little lengthy. So, if you don't want to, hear this part of the video, you can skip, a couple minutes, like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And then after that, I'm kind of just going to go over my little nits and pits of what I want to see because I kind of did, this is basically a part 2 to a video that I did earlier this year. So we have the Legends Team newsletter. This was released yesterday at 7 AM time for me. Now the main objective, Dragon Ball Legends will be celebrating its 7th anniversary this year in May. To make this special year as exciting as possible, as well as to ensure Legends can be played and enjoyed for many more years to come, we are currently hard at work on Master Version Update. Here we will explain some of the challenges that Legends is facing with regard to character abilities and the effects those abilities have on the battle experience. Okay, so it looks like they're kind of aiming, something wise when it comes to some of these characters on the release. So far it's been good in terms of the release for the characters. But the objective, to make character abilities easier to understand and to return to battles where a variety of elements and distant character abilities are viable. Jesus Christ, pretty early for me, so I might skip a little bit on some of these words. But current challenges. Since release, we have introduced many different characters in order to deliver unique gameplay experiences. However, a large number of characters have abilities that are too broad, and this has damaged the original appeal of Legends battle experience. In this notice, we will explain the 3 major issues we have identified and the ways in which we plan to address them. A lot of information will be covered, but we hope you'll read through it. Okay, so homogenization of abilities. They're using big words here. Jesus Christ. Okay. In past PvP metas, Art's card draw speed up was a distinctive ability usually given to characters who demonstrated strong combo abilities in the original series. On the other hand, tag regeneration characters would have abundant ways to restore their health. In other words, each character had distinct characteristics. Yep, they definitely did have that in the earlier years of Legends. As more and more characters have been added, the number of characters with any given ability has increased. As a result, characters have become more and more homogeneous, making their individual characteristics harder to grasp. Another example of this is element disadvantage. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, it's early for me. I'm going to stutter a little bit. Element disadvantage nullification for damage sustained effects, which were only given to a select few units at first. Over time, many characters have started getting these effects, making it harder to enjoy element-based strategies. Okay. Alright, we have another one. Increased characters with high combo power. Ooh. This is, I'm hoping this is something that are gonna fit. Because, Super Saiyan 3, Transformer Goku, VB, man, just comboing, and you just can't do nothing about it unless you have some type of disrupt. The same issue has occurred with special cover change nullification and draw speed up effects. With combo capabilities continuously on the rise, matches often devolve into one-sided affairs where one player is on the receiving end of a lengthy combo. Just like I said, that right there is what I'm talking about. And it's not even just those 2 units. We've had units just like that last year. Last year was a little bit of a mess when it came to releases for characters. Some of you can probably recall times when you can only watch helplessly after a single mistake leads to a long combo that eventually destroyed your entire party. Currently, there are a few opportunities to switch from defense to offense and vice versa, and this has damaged the play experience in battles. Yeah, I mean, they definitely nailed that one. Yeah, that's a lot of the issues now, you know, with those long comboing units. All right, now we have increase in complexity and length of character abilities. Okay, so this is probably what they're talking about to make it easier to read. I believe the new cyborg tile has that. So we're going to check it out as well in this video. But another result of single characters having such a wide variety of abilities is that the text of abilities have gotten quite long and difficult to understand. The conditions for activating abilities as well have only been getting more complex. They are difficult to parse for players who just started, but we expect they are also difficult for veteran players too. We consider that cause of both of this issue in the app. Okay, I don't know what that word is. Maybe I just suck at reading. You know, aforementioned homogenization to be individual characters having too many abilities. The following sequence has contributed to this. 1. Combo capabilities increased due to special cover change notification. Card draw speed. Number 2, hand destruction, so card destruction, key reduction, and other disruption effects increase to combat those combo capabilities. Number 3, card destruction notification, key reduction notification, attribute downgrade notification, and similar effects increase to combat those disruption effects. Another factor contributing to this is that internally, we have set a limit of 70% for sustained damage cut effects when deciding character abilities. This was done to avoid confusion above all damage being reduced to 0 if damage cut effects were exceeded 100%. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, this is we're almost done. We're a little bit over half, but pretty lengthy. To prevent confusion, we intend to stay under the limit by maintaining defensive abilities with hand destruction and recovery effects instead of more damage cut effects. Okay. Addressing these issues. So this is what they're going to probably talk about for like the next steps and kind of terms of what to do next. How to kind of, you know, take the right steps and, you know, the right path to fix some of this stuff. We plan to gradually implement the following improvements to these issues. Adjustments to combos incorporating steps. So step combos, basically when you sidestep. Card draw and key recovery are reduced during step combos, but in order to prevent excessive comboing, increasing their reduction amount is being considered. So it hasn't been finalized just yet. Adjustments to activation timing and length of special cover change notification. Recent characters have already been released with these balance changes in mind. We plan to avoid giving future characters excessive amounts of special cover change notification. Interesting. And they have an example for the Super Saiyan 3 not Goku. The Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta from the Daima campaign. Now, yeah, that is it is interesting. Cause so far, right, they're talking about, you know, characters that constantly keep comboing, and they're talking about how a lot of these other characters also have a lot of these different effects, right? There's characters that have a bunch of effects. Card draw speed, they have some form of endurance to go alongside that. There was I'm trying to see where was it? Yeah, so it was right here in this little paragraph where they were talking about it too, where they have a certain single characters have a bunch of complex abilities. And what they were trying to say is, if a character is more of a defensive type character, or more of a character that is more, you know, regeneration, they want to have effects that are keen to healing, you know, maybe some disrupt, you know, so that's kind of what their thing is, regeneration, you know. So that's kind of how it was, pretty simple back in the days, but you know, we're in the future now, so it's kind of got a little bit different. Looking at the rest of this, they also have the adjustments to length and activation opportunities for element disadvantage notification. We consider a variety, Jesus Christ, of factors when deciding the element of new character. but one of the most important is whether specific parties need a given element. However, element disadvantage notification has increasingly been used as a way to ensure characters have a competitive abilities if the meta when they are released futures characters they have an element disadvantage against. Examples of characters released into unfavorable metas will be Legends Limited Super Saiyan God Doku or Legends Limited Omega Shenron. In order to emphasize the fun of building teams around elements, we intend to reduce the length and opportunities to activate element disadvantage notification. Instead, we will just adjust. Okay, I read that wrong. More fundamental abilities like inflicted damage increases or sustained damage reduction to balance characters. Okay. So they're really going all in, and most of this is revolving around just like the overall, just like gameplay in itself. You have like certain like effects and everything. They talked about reducing like the kit, making it easier for people to read for newer players and you know, like more veteran players. But from what I'm seeing so far, it's looking like that's what their main focus is to start off. And I would say so far from what I've read, this is looking good. This is promising. This is promising because a lot of these things that we're skimming kind of over, it's looking good because the way that they're trying to implement it is definitely going to kind of help. You know, they kind of explained it as well with like the newer units being released. They're going to try to keep those units to their specific what they're going to do. Like if they're a melee type, if they're ranged, if they're a defense type, they're not going to jack them up with a whole bunch of different abilities, making them where it feels like you can't do anything. You know, one mistake, bam, it's over with. You're getting comboed or you're getting one shot. I like it. I like it so far. It's looking really good from my opinion. Then we just have like this little last segment down here. I don't know what all this is, but we just have this little last segment right here. So they have adjustments to disruption and recovery abilities. The limit on sustained damage cut effects are one of the causes for the increase in disruption and recovery abilities, and so it has been removed. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so the limit on sustained damage cut effects. So, okay. Damage cut effects will now be called damage guard. Okay, so it's a new wording for that. Keep that in mind. No changes will be made to how they function. I'd love to see it. We plan to gradually reduce excessive disruption and recovery abilities in future characters, making up for the difference with more fundamental abilities. See, that's kind of what I was talking about right there. So they're gonna take away some of these abilities or try to reduce them to the point where it doesn't feel like, hey, I just comboed this guy, you know, for 10 timer counts, 10, 15 timer counts, and he just healed all that up. Just like that. You have some characters that does that, you know, so they have revisions to ability test. Okay, so this is, we kind of know what this is. Yeah. So essentially this is just them skimming over like how they're gonna revise how the text looks for the new characters that's coming out soon. Abilities effects that activate at the start of the battle are being moved into a new starter ability section. We plan to consider, okay, yeah. So I kind of, yeah, I see it. And then have a, yeah, so that's pretty much it. You know, if you guys want to read this, I'll leave it up for, you know, for a few seconds, a little minute if you want to pause it and read the rest of this. At the end of the day, it's in the game as well. So you can always go right here in the news, be right there. But we also do have the new mercenary tile for April's Fool. So I don't know if I'm going to make a video for him. Not going to really have the time for it, but really quick, right? Let's go over here to character list. Now, to talk about some of the stuff I want to see, because right now they're moving in a good direction so far. Now, when we talk about releases this year, right? Now, really quick, I just wanted to look and see how it looks for the newer character. Okay, there we go. So they call it starter ability. Oh, that's the name of his unique ability. But it is definitely easier to read. Yeah, this is, you know, if you're a newer player, you can pretty much just get, you know, you kind of already know what this means. And I'm pretty sure damage guard would probably be, the sustained damage, like your reduced damage for your defense and all that. But yeah, I like how they did this. It looks similar to what Dokkan did as well. making it easier for you to read. But in terms of releases this year, this is what I was talking about. They so far have been really good. Really good. They've been on a good, good track. We haven't had too many units where it felt like, they just, they're just overpowered. You can't do anything. Even when Ultra Cell came out. When he came out, he was the #1 unit in the game. But here's the thing. He didn't feel to the point where it was like, well, they released another character on top of that, and bam, he's still #1. They released another character, and he's #1. Because he's just so to the point where he's outclassing everyone by that much. Now, in a sense, they did release Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and he's blue. So they kind of counter him that fast. And it kind of sucks, especially if you spent a lot of crystals on him. Who else did we have this year? We had Zamasu. A lot of these units I didn't personally summon for, and if I did summon for him, I just got shafted. IT Goku was a weird one. He felt a little underwhelming, but he just wasn't like he was super toxic, right? We have him. We have what I think these guys were the first release. Still to this day, I got shafted. Legends. That sucked. That just sucked. And I don't know why. These, Gohan, Future Gohan's my favorite character, and they just did that to me. But yeah, we had them, Ultra Cell, we had Zamasu and IT Goku. So yeah, they had some pretty good releases so far. And then with the recent releases, we have the well, I can just filter it for you guys, but we have Daima. Daima, we know how that is. This team has come up dramatically. They have Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who, like I said, overall feels good. Feels something similar to like Beast Gohan, where he has some good gimmicks in this kit, but he's not to the point where he makes you want to scratch your head every single game. You're just, he's just good. He's just good. He's not bad. He's not much of a glass cannon. He's on some solid teams as well. But so far, they're looking good on releases. Another little nitpick I want to see them eventually change. Because they mentioned this earlier this year in the newsletter that they're going to be doing some big changes on an update, including, the RAM size. We talked about that, and that should be coming up pretty soon. Basically meaning that they're going to be releasing some stuff that should require you to have, more RAM size. So, maybe some, like the map destruction, similar to like Sparking Zero. Hopefully they implement that. I saw some people put some videos about that on YouTube. Another little small nitpick is the crystal cap. So the crystal cap, if you don't know by far, it's at 20k. So free to play wise, after once you get to 20k, you can't get anything at the shop. Can't get anything at the shop. I don't think you can really do is just bomb, and I think maybe collect missions. But a lot of the crystals, they're coming from the shop because there's a lot of events that are tied to the shop. So I would say at least double that, make it like 40k, 50k at the cap. That's something simpler they can do, and I can see why they're probably not doing it, because if you're, if there's no events, let's think about it for a second. If there's no events to grind, which is most of the time that's the case, unless it's around like a campaign or the big celebrations, you're not really be getting crystals. You're kind of stuck at that 20k unless you buy crystals. And a lot of people are free to play, so no one wants to do that. Hopefully they kind of implement that. I'm hoping, I'm really hoping they do something with that. Another implement, or just a little small knick-knack I want to talk about, is summon animations and also the banners. So when I'm looking at these banners, right, specifically the ultra banners, that has to change. Eventually that's going to have to change, because I see this game is not a die-off anytime soon, but let's be honest, the ultra banners are the worst thing to summon on. The step up banners, they're not that bad. You're getting double the Z power, you're getting coins for each summon that you select. So this one isn't a horrible one, but ultra banners, the rates, they kind of suck. And the feature list, it's horrible. So either they change the feature list by putting similar, other ultras on the banner, similar to what they do with these banners, where they put in LF characters on the feature list, or what they could do is increase the rates for the new character. Because let's be honest, imagine you just grind it, I don't know, like 30k crystals, and you don't pull the unit. That sucks. That's part of being, getting shafted. It's a gotcha game. You know how this goes. But that absolutely sucks. So you gotta do something, Legends, you know, either increase the rates, you know, maybe for like the newer character that is out, or throw on some other ultras, because there's a lot of ultras that I personally didn't pull. I would love to see them instead of having to wait for them to come back on their individual banner. But yeah, that's another little nitpick I wanted to talk about right there. Besides that, you know, the only thing that I can really say in like feature regard, besides those little nitpicks in the newsletter we read, events, you know, specifically PvE events. I talked about it a lot on the channel, but I don't really think some people get it, because you just gotta, you know, maybe you're more of a PvP player, but let's just say you're a chill player. You just want to play a game. You want to collect the cards, the characters, and all that. And there's no events to grind. Now, right now, we have raids up, because that's because of the recent updates. But besides that, this game has been, you know, it's been on some dry. You know, it's been really, really dry. I hope they consider kind of just revamping some of these events. So there's only two options. Either you revamp the rewards in some of these events. They love to re-roll a lot of these different events. Or maybe you add some new events. You know, that's not hard to do. You know, they've done it before. I just feel like they're not consistent with it. And when you're not being consistent with it, you know, it kind of sucks for your free-to-play players, because I would say at least a good majority of the players that's playing the game, they're free to play. So no one wants to spend money unless you have to ask, you know, you really want the unit. But yeah, you know, all we have right now is just the raid. We got the little slot remover event. We had the Zenkai Rush battle, but other than that, that's pretty much it. You got the original stories, you got like the upgrade events, the special events. These never really go away. So, you know, there's plenty of crystals you can get from all these events. But after a while, once you're done, you'll start to realize that Legends doesn't, you know, really put any new events out or revamp the rewards in some of those events they're re-rolling constantly over, you know, like a period of time. Whenever it's like a campaign or anniversary, you'll see the raid a lot. You'll see some of like those challenge towers, the Zenkai Rush battle. But besides that, that's, you know, it's pretty much it. You know, and maybe that's me just complaining. Maybe it's me. You know, I played the game for years and I've started to notice it. Hopefully they do something with that. But in the next video, we're probably going to talk about something interesting. It might be another discussion video. It might be something else. Don't want to spoil that for you guys. But besides that, you know, overall, it's looking good, you know, for the future of Legends. If this is what they're starting off with for this newsletter, because what they're focusing on, obviously, like it says right here, makes it easier for people to read the character abilities. And then also, they're trying to, you know, they're trying to return to that point of PvP where the elements actually matter, where a character doesn't actually just feel overpowered to the point where even at a tight disadvantage, you know, they still have a shot. You know, they still have a really good shot of coming back on you, and that sucks, because that is how it is. You know, you can take Mods of Vegeta, for example. A lot of gimmicks in this kit. A lot of gimmicks. He has a counter gauge. He has a lock-in ult. He has the AoE green card. And he has endurance on top of that. Endurance. Lovely. Lovely. You love to see it. And that's not even all of the things that I had to list. You know, as much of a cool character he looks, man, that was painful to go against him, especially when he was in his prime. No, you don't really see him nowadays, so that's a good thing about it. But they're trying to get back to that point. That's what I got off from reading that. Maybe I'm biased, you know. So, you know, they're off to a good start. That's all I can say. I'm sorry if I'm stuttering a lot. I just woke up, so brain is a little bit lagging. But yeah, this video has been pretty lengthy. We're in about 25 minutes. Let me know personally down below if you made it to this part of the video. Let me know what you guys think. You know, what are some things you all want to see changed in Legends? I mentioned, you know, a couple little gimmicks like the events, the summons, new summon animations. I didn't really talk about that as much, but I did mention it. Hopefully they do something for that, because keeping content like that, or, you know, giving us something new every once in a while, and every once in a while is like, let's say maybe every other month, you know, that'll be nice, instead of it being like every couple months, every year. So yeah, hopefully they take some of these into account. So far, newsletter is looking good. I love the direction that they're kind of going in with this. Looks promising. So hopefully this is some good stuff for future updates, because this isn't even all of it. This is only a start. So that being said though, lengthy video for you guys today. Just me really just yapping about a whole bunch of stuff. But if you enjoyed it, hey, you know, like down below is appreciated. I appreciate you guys. But as always, everyone have a blessed day. It's your boy JB. I'm out.